Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. Welcome. Our Philippine journey, Mike and Arlen. We hope you're all doing well. That's for sure. Are expats making a mass exodus out of Southeast Asia? And in particular, the Philippines. Are they leaving the Philippines? Are they Is it no longer where they want to be? Have they become so dissatisfied they're gone? Well, you know something? That's a real difficult question, but we've got some good information. So let's talk about it.
Why'd you have to go? I guess this world's too slow for you. I think there's beauty in the gray, the cold, but you just want the gold. And there's no way I can beat it, cause I got no chance, no chance when it comes to her. She got the glitter and the fame, and I just wasn't enough.
Okay, I'm going to tell you now so that you could save yourself a little bit of time if you want. All right? Are expats leaving the Philippines and Southeast Asia? And the answer to that is yes, they are. But there are some significant reasons beyond what people want to put out there. There is a significant amount of 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 reasons that have nothing to do with I'm sick of just this or I don't like that. And we're going to talk about it because it's a normal cycle. It is not abnormal. And it's something that people should be aware of. Um, we live here in the Philippines. We've lived here 10 going on 10 years now. All right. That we've had a residence here in the Philippines for more than 10 years, come to think about it. We've been here full time since pre-pandemic. Now, we have a condo in Angeles City. We have a house down in Mindanao in the province, Western style home. All right. We have the best of both worlds. We can travel back and forth between them. In fact, Arlen was just down in the province for Fiesta. I did not go this year for Fiesta, but I've been this year. All right. What is it that's driving expats out everywhere? Well, it's a natural flow of immigration. It's a natural flow of life. Some things that you need to keep in mind, but we're going to go through some of the basics, all right? So let's take a look at this. Reasons that the expats leave the Philippines. Expat fatigue. All right, the demanding daily life and cultural differences can be draining. I'm not so much, it is true that there are times you have to think twice about what's being said and done in your sphere of life because culturally it may not be exactly what we think of. But that being said, it's not that bad. All right. The high cost of living, mismatched expectations about cost can be a significant reason for leaving, especially when factoring in those challenges. Well, yeah, let's face it. When you have YouTubers that are out there saying you can live like a king on $1,000 a month and you believe that shit, yeah, that's a mismatched expectation because you are not going to live like a king. Can you live in the Philippines for $1,000 a month? Yeah, of course you can. Just like you can live in your home country for $1,000 a month. You can move to some remote town in the middle of no damn where, all right? My favorite town, Buttlick, Arkansas, all right? And you can rent a place cheap and you can eat cheap, just like you can rent a place here cheap and eat cheap. It can be done. It can be done anywhere. Are you going to live like a king? Like if you live And if you live on Nob Hill over in San Francisco, you're not going to live like that here in the Philippines on $1,000 a month. Same thing applies to if you live in Manhattan or if you live in any major metropolitan center. Your lifestyle will decrease. Can it be better? Can you live better here on $1,000 a month than you can in your home country? It's possible, all right, but it depends on you and it depends on what you find acceptable. So sometimes, listening to YouTubers like me, like anybody, we tend to tell you what we like, but you don't know how much I live off of. And I don't know how much you're going to live off of. And the two may never meet. That's for sure. Infrastructure challenges, issues like traffic, garbage, unreliable infrastructure contribute to the frustration and anxiety. And that's probably one of the highest reasons. All right. The Philippines has just chosen over and over to not take advantage of improving the infrastructure in a major way. All right. There is corruption. Currently, there's a huge scandal going on about corruption in the higher ends of money that's been misappropriated. Now, whether it's true, it's alleged at this point. All right. Time will only tell. But certainly, infrastructure is better in certain places. And so you can chalk that up. It's difficult. Driving in Manila or in the outskirts of Manila can be an absolute horror story in, say, Quezon City or BGC or in Makati or, outside. Driving in Cebu can be a huge pain in the ass, all right? Driving in any of the major metropolitan centers. One of the things that is a big problem to this is the lack of enforcement of road rules. And that's an issue. Garbage. It is filthy. There are, if you are not in an area that the people in that area take particular pride in keeping things up, you are going to live in a place that's got tons of litter and garbage. That's just the way it is. Now, that's not to say that those places don't exist, because they certainly do. Where we live in the province, there's no garbage on the streets. People sweep it all up. They clean it all up. Where we live in Angeles City, it can get bad. I mean, it's not bad, but it can be. That's with, not going to lie. That's the one thing about us. We're not going to lie to you. We're not going to try and give you misinformation. Bureaucracy and visas. Expats find the process of obtaining and renewing visas challenging, as well as dealing with the overall bureaucratic system. So I can remember when I first had to deal with the visa system. Now, I don't have to hardly deal with it at all now. I have a 13A permanent visa. Most of my friends have SRRVs. It's a much different process for us. But if you're here and you're trying to subsist on a tourist visa, so you can come here, you're visa free on arrival, which means you don't pay for a visa, but you actually are on a tourist visa. It's just not been issued. Okay. You can extend that up to 2 months. And then at the end of that 2 months, you have to renew it. And you have to go to a immigration office to get it done. Now, there are tons of immigration offices. They're all over the places. Even some of the smaller towns have immigration offices. But will they open on time? Will there be anybody there? What will the line be like? How will you have to deal with it? And it can be a pain in the ass. It really and truly can. Now, we used to be able to get 6-month renewals, but they've done away with that for some reason. I do not know. The good thing about the visa here is you can keep renewing your visa up to 3 years. And then at the end of 3 years, you hop on a flight, you come back in 24 hours, and you start the process all over again. All right? You can just get on a plane, go to Thailand, have a nice Thai dinner, all right? Have a nice Thai breakfast, and when the 24-hour rating is up, you just return. You're golden. You start all over. Visas are a different process we're going to talk about in just a couple minutes. Now, healthcare concerns. Worries about the quality and accessibility of healthcare can prompt some expats to leave, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I would never have a bypass in the Philippines unless it was an emergent situation. I've had cardiac catheterizations. I've had stents placed. I've had friends that have had significant surgeries here. None of them have ever had a bypass. I know somebody that's had a bypass. I know of somebody that's had a bypass. All right. But the facilities to get that done are limited. The physicians that are trained that adequately do it often enough to be well versed in the procedures is limited. There are certain things, but that would apply everywhere except Burmangard in Thailand. That would be one of the few exceptions. I would have a bypass there. I really, truly would. Relationship issues. That's another big one. All right. Cultural differences and personal. We see so many guys, in the U.S., I can't tell you the statistics for Australia or for the U.K., but you guys can look them up. But in the U.S., marriages, over 50% of the marriages end in divorce. Why would we think that you wouldn't see at least 50% of relationships here end in failure? And when that happens, all right, there are all kinds of problems. That's just the way it works. Just like there were problems in the U.S. or wherever you're from in that breakup. Family pressures are different here. Family here is a cultural issue, and you need to be aware of that. And again, this goes back to that misinformation or being misinformed or not being aware. Rose-colored glasses. I like that. All right. Some expats have unrealistic expectations and skewed view of their home country, making them less prepared. And I think what we mean by that is real simple. You may not have the ability to have a decent life in your home country based on your own expectations there, and you carry it over when you get here. And that is just simply the way it is. Now, one of the things that you also need, there are a couple of other things that are more important even than that. First off, it's the aging expat population. 20 years ago, expats were coming over here in their 50s, and they were more than happy with the cost of living. Well, the cost of living's changed a little bit, but as they age, they have families back at home. They may need to go take care of an elderly parent. All right? They may have reached a point, just like they reached a point in their home country where they were tired of it. They've reached a point here where they're tired of it, and they're moving on. Now, would I move on to some of the other places? That's a whole different story. There are some differences, to be sure. If it weren't for my wife, I doubt I would live in the Philippines. I would probably choose Pattaya, Thailand. It is everything is so convenient there. You don't need a vehicle in Pattaya. A scooter will work just fine. And the driving is not completely absurd. All right. It's reasonable. But being married to Arlen, we choose to live in the Philippines. And that's just the way it works. We choose to live in Angeles most of the time because it has an international airport, it has a good healthcare system, and it has a Western-style lifestyle that we can take advantage of, or I can take advantage of, in a large expat population. I'm a social creature. I'm not a nomad. I don't want to be alone. All right. I want to spend my time with people that have common interests that I have as well. So the cycle is that. But the real reason, the biggest reason, that's the most important thing here: social media. You see, 20 years ago, when expats were leaving the Philippines or leaving Southeast Asia, well, social media wasn't broadcasting it like their dirty laundry everywhere. All right? It wasn't doing it. That's not what was going on. Now, if some expat gets a boil on his ass, it's on social media. He's put it on YouTube, or he's put it on Facebook, or he's put it on TikTok, whatever. Okay? We didn't have that. So what do you see? Well, you see a lot of people that are disgruntled. They put that shit up there. You don't see so many happy people. You see some, don't get me wrong, but you don't see so many. Social media is driving that. Now, there are other instances to think about. Okay, now let's look at where people, what are these expats doing? Are they leaving the Philippines to go to Thailand? Are they leaving the Philippines to go to Cambodia? Are they leaving the Philippines to go to Vietnam? Well, let's look at a couple of different things. Number one, Cambodia. Cambodia, although it has a king, it's based on communist ideology. Your freedom of speech in Cambodia is somewhat curbed, and that is not a place I am going to go. All right? When their own people's freedom of speech is somewhat curbed. All right? I hope that microphone picked all that up. Is somewhat curbed. That's a problem. Number two, Vietnam. Vietnam is a completely communist country. It's not a hybrid like Cambodia. No, thank you. I'm sorry. Would I vacation there? Sure. Been there, done that. All right, many years ago. Would I live there? No. They can do anything they want with their visas and anything they want to their population at any second. Thailand. Thailand's a really strange bird. That's the best word I can come up with. I love Thailand. Arlen loves Thailand. We enjoy Thailand. Its cost of living is not that much more than the Philippines, to be honest with you. Could be very comparable. In some areas, it's a little bit less. That being said, there have been, half a dozen Thai prime ministers in the past year. They keep replacing them. Number two, their visa system is all over the place right now with policy suggestions. One of these days, they're going to adopt some of those suggestions. All right. And then number three, banking. For some reason, Thailand thinks it needs to be a nanny state, and it's making it very difficult for expats, especially expat tourists, all right, to do electronic banking there. They are making it harder and harder. In fact, you can look at the news. It's in there all the time. People are getting frozen out of their electronic banking apps. No, I would never live there. Visit there, extended visit, sure. That I would do. And in fact, Arlen and I have considered that. So are expats making a mass exodus? No, they're not. There's no national tracking system. There's no international tracking system. There's no way to prove what these people say. I mean, I could sit there and I could say, you know what? Of all my friends, I've got one that's said, I'm out of here. I'm done. I'm not going to live in the Philippines. I'm moving. I'm gone. I'm out. And he moved to Thailand. I've got 3 that have got years of living in Thailand that have decided to live in the Philippines. All right? You see, so there's a normal cycle here. People get old. They need to go home. They've got their Medicare. They've got whatever. They're going to go home. They're going to get medical treatment. They can live with their children. They can do whatever it is that they need to get done. They find it hard to subsist on their own as they are elderly and more feeble. So, yeah, they leave. That's the way it's been all along for many, many years. Secondly, more important to that, you already left one country to live in another. What would stop you from leaving that country to live in somewhere else? It's a natural flow of things. Are expats coming to the Philippines? Actually, there's still great interest in that. Still a great interest in it. So, all of those things being said, I'm going to say no. But you know what? In the comments below, you tell us, what do you think? All right? Because I know a lot of you are going to think the Philippines is just not for me. I'd rather be somewhere else. But does that mean you're going to leave Southeast Asia? Or are you going to try somewhere else in Southeast Asia? Let us know what you think about it. Otherwise, please do like, subscribe, and hit the notify bell. We certainly appreciate everything. Thanks so much. Have a great day.